Yo, what's the word, YouTube? It's Chris2RT, Face of the 2 Right Nation, best streamer in the world is now tuning in on YouTube. Feel me? We are now getting into the most disturbing banned video games ever. Let's get straight into it, shall we?
Manhunt 2. In 2007, a British studio called Rockstar London released a video game called Manhunt 2. The player controls Daniel Lamb, a patient escaping a mental hospital, and kills pursuers using plastic bags, pliers, syringes, and glass shards.
That game doesn't sound bad.
Longer triggers worse executions. On the Wii, the player physically acts out each kill by swinging the Wii
This game was on the Wii? That's a kid's console, I thought.
The first Manhunt had cast the player as a killer making snuff films. It had been banned in Australia and New Zealand 4 years earlier. The UK press had falsely blamed it for the 2004 murder of a 14-year-old boy named Stefan Pakira. Police later confirmed that the victim, not the killer, had owned the game. The British Board of Film Classification refused to rate the game on June 19, 2007. It was the first video game refused in a decade. Ireland's film board did the same. And Germany, Saudi Arabia, South Korea, Singapore, and Malaysia banned it. The Entertainment Software Rating Board gave it an adults-only rating, which Sony and Nintendo refused to allow on their consoles.
Yeah, I was about to say, no way the Wii was allowing that shit.
Rockstar edited the game, and the ESRB lowered the rating to mature. The BBFC accepted the edited version in March 2008, 9 months after the refusal. But the original adults-only version had leaked online days after the US launch. It is still online today.
Really? Yo, chat, should we play this? Doesn't even sound like a bad game. So this is Manhunt 2 apparently. Let's see. Oh shit. I'm gonna lie.
Holy fuck. That ain't supposed to happen.
Okay. Oh, why they hopping, bro?
Right down in the psycho section.
What the fuck is this game? Why is he choking Auntie out? This game is like goy slop.
Straight.
So this is the main game apparently. Oh, the main game graphics ain't that bad for 2007. Alright, let me see some of the finishers, Buzz. Let me see some of the finishers. Alright, this is a finisher. Let's see.
Is that him? I gotta try sleeping sometime.
Ooh, oh! I mean, okay. I ain't gonna lie, they gassed it. This game's not even that bad. I feel like there's worse games now. Retweets, chat. I feel like there's worse games now.
Replay. In 2000.
What is that called? Grapeplay? What is Grapeplay?
US launch. It is still online today.
What type of game is that?
In 2006, a Japanese studio called Illusion released a PC game called Replay. The player controls a man who stalks a mother and her 2 daughters through the Tokyo subway.
What type of game is this?
The youngest daughter is 12 years old. The player can force the women to get pregnant, then have abortions.
What? This game is literally a Predators game.
Other men can be called in to join the assaults. Illusion had been making these games for years inside Japan, where adult PC games were barely regulated and rarely sold abroad. In February 2009,
what do they allow in
activists found the
Japan?
game listed on Amazon UK by a third-party seller. The story spread through the international press within days. Amazon pulled the listing, and UK MP Keith Vaz brought it up in Parliament. Equality Now, a women's rights group, launched a global campaign and brought the case to the UN's Women's Rights Committee. Argentina passed a law banning the game by name. Within months, Japan's adult game industry responded. The Ethics Organization of Computer Software banned member studios from making such games in June 2009.
I mean, I don't know why they were making them in the beginning. What type of fucking games are these? Who says, this is going to be a great game?
Illusion pulled the game
to stalk a woman and her children in a video game.
Sales, but pirated copies spread through file sharing networks. 2 years later, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Brown versus Entertainment Merchants Association, a case about violent video games. Justice Samuel Alito described a game where the player assaults a mother and her daughters. He did not name it. KZ Manager.
Hey, W. Samuel, I guess. At least he's trying, feel me? Alright, let's see what this one is. KZ Manager. This doesn't even look that bad. It looks like some Terrier shit. Oh my god. Is that a... Oh, yeah.
In 1990,
I take back
anonymous
what I
German
said.
developers released a video game called KZ Manager.
German,
The player
huh?
runs a Nazi concentration camp filled with Turkish
wow.
guest workers, tracked as numbers, health, productivity,
Are we
food.
dead
The
ass,
goal is
gang?
to get as much work as possible while managing supplies and gas chamber space.
What
Prisoners
the
who
fuck?
can
Like, who plays these games, gang? Who wants to be a little, I don't want to say the word, but who wants to be that guy?
no longer work are
You're
sent
telling
to
me
the
you come home from a 9 to 5 and feel like being a KZ manager?
gas chambers. Their bodies are stripped of gold teeth for extra resources. The game was illegal under German hate speech laws, so the developers stayed anonymous to avoid arrest. KZ Manager came out just as reunified Germany entered years of anti-immigrant violence. Riots at Hoyerswerda in 1991, Rostock-Lichtenhagen in 1992, and arson attacks in Mölln and Solingen killed 8 Turkish residents.
RIP.
Copies kept spreading throughout, on floppy disks, through underground online message boards, and at neo-Nazi gatherings. Across
Really?
Europe, the game spread through far-right
That's for some
networks.
stupid
More
game?
versions followed, including KZ Manager Millennium in 1998, which
That's so
added
dumb.
Jewish and Romani prisoners.
Wow,
Germany's
man.
Federal Office for the Protection
Niggas
of the
got updates to
Constitution
the game.
listed the franchise as far-right extremist content. Sharing or owning the game became a crime in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland under
Damn.
laws against Nazi
Imagine going to jail because of a video game you have. That's
propaganda
low-key
and
crazy.
hate speech. Prosecutors charged distributors throughout the 1990s. Owning a copy can still lead to fines or jail time. KZ Manager was one of the earliest video games made to spread Nazi propaganda.
That's actually
Decades
crazy.
later, no one knows who made it. The game still spreads today. Super Columbine Massacre.
Yo, Chad, you think we can find that game? Wait, what is it called? KZ Manager? Hold on.
discussed and public opinion represented approval. Was not a
What
single
the
unified release.
fuck? Bro, these games are like, gang, imagine getting off work and playing some bullshit like this. Yeah, gang. Let's see what this one is. Super Columbus. I don't know. Massacre RPG.
In 2005, an American developer
2005?
named Danny Ladon released a PC game called Super Columbine Massacre RPG. The player controls Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, the real shooters who killed 13 people at
Bro,
Columbine.
what the fuck? You made a game based off of school shooting? Were you smoking crack? That's fucked up.
1999. Players walk through the school shooting students and teachers named after real victims.
What?
The killers then descend into a Japanese-style RPG in hell. Ladon put it out on April 20th, the Columbine
Brother,
anniversary.
why would you turn a whole high school massacre into a fucking Japanese killing game? And you put the names of the victims. What the hell is actually going on in here?
He used basic game-making software and posted it as a free download.
Wow.
The game included
And it was
photos of the
free.
victims, audio from news reports,
This is
and quotes from
actually
Harris and
disgusting.
Klebold's journals. The game went unnoticed for over a year before gaming forums and news outlets discovered it. Slam Dance
Disgusting,
Film
bro.
Festival selected the game for its 2007 Guerrilla Game Maker competition, then dropped it after sponsors pushed back. Major gaming sites removed downloads, and victims' families condemned
Brother,
it. In September,
How do people look at something like this and say, oh yeah, this is good? What are we talking about? So good that you want to put it on a fucking event?
September 2006,
This is disgusting.
Canadian gunman Kim Veer-Gill killed 1 student and wounded 19 others at Dawson College in Montreal before turning the gun on himself.
Oh my
Gill had praised the game on his
goodness.
blog and called Eric Harris a hero. 6 years
Wow.
later, Sandy Hook killer Adam Lanza had the game on his computer.
Wow.
Super Columbine Massacre RPG was one of the
Wow.
first video games to recreate a school shooting using actual victims' names. Ladon has defended it as art about media violence.
Art?
It is still a free download.
What?
Custer's Revenge.
Brother, how the fuck do you say it's art and you literally influence 2 kids to shoot up schools? What is wrong with you, bro? Like, you know what? Hell is gonna be a nice place for you, man. Let's see if you get creative down there, bros.
In 1982, an American
Custer's
studio called
Revenge.
Mystique released an Atari 2600
Ooh,
game
Atari.
called Custer's Revenge. The player controls a naked General George Custer. He wears only a hat, boots, and a bandolier slung across his chest. Arrows rain from the sky as he runs toward a Native American woman tied to a pole. When Custer reaches her, the player simulates assaulting her. Mystique made a trilogy of adult games for the Atari
Like,
2600.
what the fuck are these games, man? Like, come
with
on,
Custer's
bro.
Revenge as the most explicit. The game sold openly in American stores for $49.95,
Niggas paid $50
about
for this
$150 today.
experience?
The crude pixel graphics could not hide the assault. Women's rights groups and Native American organizations led protests, including the National Organization for Women and the American Indian Movement. Within months of release, Suffolk County, New York, banned its sale. Atari sued Mystique for putting it on the 2600 without permission, but the lawsuit failed. Major retailers refused to stock it. The game sold only about 80,000 copies, well below normal Atari sales numbers. Mystique quit gaming within a year. The protests against Custer's Revenge set the pattern for the video game controversies that followed. Custer's Revenge was one of the first video games to spark organized mainstream protests in America. It still ranks among the worst games ever made. Original cartridges still sell to collectors today.
Wow.
Postal 2.
That's actually crazy.
In 2003, an American studio called Running with Scissors
ago.
released a first-person shooter called Postal 2. The player controls the postal dude, an unemployed man running errands across a 5-day week in a small town. Errands include picking up milk, cashing a check, and returning a library book.
Oh,
Either
this game
pass
doesn't
work,
look that bad.
complete tasks peacefully, or kill civilians, police, and animals. The player can pee on people and dead bodies.
Oh, I think I remember this game. I remember seeing this game. This game wasn't that bad.
Standers on fire with gasoline.
Okay, this game was kind of
chop
bad.
off their heads with a shovel. Shoving a gun barrel up a cat's behind turns the cat into a silencer. Levels include attacks on marching bands, religious crowds, and protesters.
I don't remember this game. I don't remember this game. I thought it was a different game. I remember a game where this nigga was pissing on people, but I don't remember
all this happens during the player's everyday errands. Critics trashed Postal 2 for its crude humor and pointless violence. Senator Joe Lieberman criticized the game in 2003 as part of his campaign against violent video games marketed to kids. New Zealand banned the game outright. Australia refused to classify it, which made it illegal to sell there. Brazil, Malaysia, Germany, and other countries restricted or banned the game in the years that followed. Running with Scissors leaned into the controversy and used the bans in marketing. Postal 2 grew into a cult hit during the late 2000s. The studio kept making sequels and expansions for nearly 2 decades, including Postal 4 in 2022. The game still sells on Steam.
What? They made that shit mad recent.
Ethnic cleansing. In 2002, an American neo-Nazi organization called the National Alliance released a video game called Ethnic Cleansing. The player controls a skinhead or Klansman gunning down black people, Latinos, and Jews in city streets and subway tunnels. Players use racial slurs while killing. The final boss is the Prime Minister of Israel. The National Alliance was the largest neo-Nazi group in the United States, and the game was designed as recruitment material. Its founder, William Luther Pierce, had written The Turner Diaries, a novel about a race war. The game came out on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Its price of $14.88 stood for the white supremacist 14-word slogan and Heil Hitler.
What the fuck is wrong with people?
Mainstream retailers refused to stock it. The game was sold by mail order through the National Alliance's record label, Resistance Records, and at white power events. The Anti-Defamation League and Southern Poverty Law Center documented it as one of the first openly racist video games. Internationally, selling the game was illegal under hate speech laws in Germany, Austria, France, and Canada. It has never appeared on Steam or any console. In 2018, Twitch banned the game from being streamed. 6 months after the game
tried to stream this game
release, Pierce died of cancer, and without him, his organization fell apart over the following years. His novel, The Turner Diaries, had inspired the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing, where 168 people died. VTech Rampage. In 2007, a 21-year-old Australian developer named Ryan Lambourne released a flash game called VTech Rampage. The player controls Sung Hui Cho, the real gunman, through 3 levels of stealth and shooting.
Bro, what is up with niggas and making real video games out of real-life scenarios?
Classroom doors and guns down students and teachers. Lambourne uploaded the game to Newgrounds 3 weeks after the Virginia Tech shooting killed 32 people. Lambourne said he made the game to offend people for a laugh. He demanded $1,000 in donations to remove VTech Rampage from Newgrounds, $2,000 to take it off his website, and $3,000 for a public apology. He later called it a joke. Outrage came fast from victims' families and politicians on 2 continents. An Australian senator launched an investigation, while Lambourne's web host suspended his account within days. But Newgrounds stood by the game. The Recording Industry Association of America hit Lambourne with a cease and desist over unlicensed Guns N' Roses and Collective Soul tracks, forcing a stripped RIAA edition. In 2013, Lambourne released The Slaying of Sandy Hook Elementary, a flash game recreating the elementary school shooting that killed 26
Brother,
people.
what the fuck
That
is
game
wrong with
pushed
this guy?
Newgrounds founder Tom Fulp to pull VTech Rampage after years of defending it. Lambourne said he made the new game to support gun control. Australia's classification board rated VTech Rampage MA15+ and refused to ban it. Copies of the original still float around on mirror sites. Lambourne never apologized. The Guy Game. In 2004, an American studio called Top Heavy Studios released a trivia game called The Guy Game for PlayStation 2, Xbox, and
What is
PC.
the Guy Game?
Women on screen answer trivia, and each wrong answer earns the player topless footage. The footage came from real spring break parties Top Heavy filmed at South Padre Island, Texas. A comedian named Matt Sadler hosted the show, and the women in bikinis on screen all went by the nickname Hotties. Top Heavy paid the women $20 each and checked their IDs to make sure they were 18.
That's
Gathering
it?
of
Just
Developers,
$20?
a Take-Two interactive label, sent copies to stores across the country. A 17-year-old who appeared topless in the game sued Top Heavy in December 2004.
Whoa!
She had used a fake ID at South Padre Island, saying she was 18 when filmed. A Texas judge ordered
but she lied though. How is that his fault?
the game pulled from shelves. An appeals court kept the ban going in 2005. After the ban,
I mean,
Top
obviously the game needs to get took down, but bro, why did she lie and have a fake ID?
Heavy released a cleaned-up DVD called The Guy Game, Game Over, which cut all footage of the minor. The fix came too late. The studio shut down soon after. The Guy Game was their only release. Few video games have ever been killed this completely by a single lawsuit. Used
Well, that's why I
copies
don't make
sometimes
games
show
like
up at
that,
gaming
bro.
conventions for hundreds of dollars. No publisher has tried to re-release it. Hatred. In 2015,
I know
a
this
Polish
game.
studio called Destructive Creations released a video game
Hatred's
called
crazy.
Hatred. The player controls Not Important, a man who sets out to kill as many people as he can before dying. He attacks civilians and police across New York State with guns, knives, and Molotov cocktails. The game is shown in black and white, with only blood in color. Hatred opens with not important loading weapons and declaring a genocide crusade against humanity. He moves through suburban neighborhoods, a police station, a train station, and a power plant, shooting everyone. The player can execute kneeling wounded victims with knife stabs, gunshots, or stomps. The game has no story beyond hatred for humanity. Valve pulled Hatred from Steam Greenlight, its indie submission platform, in December 2014, hours after it was posted. Gabe Newell, Valve's CEO, personally apologized to the developers the next day and put the game back. When the full version came out in June 2015, the ESRB rated it adults only. Only the third game ever to get that rating for violence alone, after Manhunt 2 and Thrill Kill. The rating kept Hatred off PlayStation and Xbox. Twitch banned the game from being streamed on its platform. Destructive Creations leaned into the controversy and kept selling Hatred on Steam. The studio used the outrage to drive marketing, and the game shot to the top of Steam Greenlight's voting charts within hours of being reinstated. Hatred sold over 100,000 copies in its first month on Steam. The studio released a free survival mode update later in 2015 and went on to other games. Steam still sells the game today.
As they get money, they don't
Active
care.
Shooter. In 2018, a
Active
developer called
Shooter.
Revived Games announced a Steam game called Active Shooter. The player can take on one of two roles: a SWAT officer responding to a school shooting, or the shooter himself. Playing as the shooter, the player walks through the school shooting students, teachers, and arriving police. The game tracks every kill on a scoreboard. The developer behind Revived Games had been banned from Steam under different names. He scheduled the launch for June 6, 2018. 3 weeks earlier, a gunman had killed 10 at Santa Fe High School in Texas. Earlier still, in February, the Parkland shooting had killed 17 in Florida. Within days, a Change.org petition demanding the game's removal gathered over 200,000 signatures.
200,000?
Parents of Parkland and Santa Fe shooting victims condemned the game, and Florida Senator Bill Nelson called on Valve, Steam's owner, to pull it. Valve removed Active Shooter from Steam on May 29th, 2018.
I don't even get how
days
Steam
before
lets
its
these
launch.
games fly.
The developer
bro.
defended
How
the
does
game.
Steam really let these games fly? Like, come on, you really want you really gonna play a game where you pretend to be a person shooting up a school? Like that's who you want to be known as, bro. The type of guy who just sits around and plays a game where you pretend to shoot up kids at school.
It's a simulation.
Like, come on.
He
bro.
briefly hosted Active Shooter on his own website, but that also went dark. Valve publicly named him as a developer it had banned before. Active Shooter was one of the earliest games Valve removed from Steam before launch. Steam removed other school shooting simulators in the years that followed. The game has not been seen since. Day.
What is
In 2019,
What?
an
What
indie
day?
developer called Deskplant listed a visual novel called Rape Day on Steam. The player controls a menacing serial killer rapist who hunts down women to verbally harass, assault, and kill them during a zombie apocalypse. The store page promised 500 images and 7,000 words, including necrophilia, controversial family relationships, and graphic violence. Online petitions to remove the game from Steam gathered tens of thousands of signatures within days, drawing international press coverage. Scottish MP Hannah Bardell denounced it as utterly sickening in UK Parliament. But Deskplant pitched the game as a dark comedy with pornographic elements. Valve had announced just 9 months earlier that Steam would allow everything from developers, including adult content. The outcry forced Valve to backtrack on that promise. The company pulled the game.
Look at the name you picked for it, bro. This isn't anything dark. This is literally disgusting.
On March 6th, just 2 days after the listing went up, citing unknown costs and risks. Their statement never condemned the content itself. After the removal, Deskplant agreed publicly that his game might not be the right fit for Steam and moved it to his own website to sell it directly. He said this might have been a better move from the start. Steam never changed its mind and never put the game back on the platform. Deskplant kept selling it through his website. The game is still for sale today.
That's actually
If you'd like
crazy,
to see more
man.
videos like this, make sure to subscribe and feel free to
W
drop
video
suggestions
chat.
for the next
You
video
heard
in
the
the
man.
comments.
If you want to see more reactions like this, make sure y'all like and subscribe. It's Chris 2RT, Face of the 2 Right Nation. I'm going to be the best streamer in the world. And see you guys in the next one, man, too.